Hi, everyone. I think most of you guys know me. I'm Dr. Rivera. I'm the Dean for Admissions and Financial Aid at the NY School of Medicine. And I wanted to thank you for taking time with us to check out one of these Facebook Live sessions. Today, we're going to be talking about some of our dual degree programs. So I'm joined by three of our current medical students who are participating in the dual degree program. And right behind me, you see Rebecca Novick from our Office of Student Affairs. So I'm going to hand it off to her, and then she'll host the rest of this Facebook Live sessions. As always, if you have any questions, just let us know, either now while you're watching, or if you're watching at a later point in time, just shoot us an email, and then we'll be happy to get back to you as soon as we can. So without further ado, Rebecca.
Thank you.
I have my seat.
Awesome.
All right.
Hello. As Raphael said, I am Rebecca Novick. I'm the advisor for dual degree programs as well as a student services coordinator here at the NYU School of Medicine. So if you're lucky enough and excited enough to come here, I'll also host your orientation and tell you about dual degrees again. So there are a bunch of reasons why our students are interested in dual degrees. One is you get to explore a different area of interest, very in depth. You'll get your master's, so you'll be considered a master in that interest area. You'll save money, which is great because then you'll only be paying for one extra year. So you'll get your 2 degrees in 5 years. If you do our 4-year MPH, if you're ambitious enough to get that done, you can get your 2 degrees in 4 years as well. And it also fulfills a few requirements for your MD degree as well. So it'll fulfill your concentration, and it'll also make some things a little more in-depth and exciting for the future of your career, depending on what you want to do with your MD. So we have a few options for your dual degree. We currently offer an MD MPA in health policy and management. We offer an MBA in general management, an MPH in global health leadership, an MA in bioethics, an MS in clinical investigation, which is also considered translational research. So that's also a good option if you're thinking about potentially doing a research year. It'll provide you with more guidance as well as a degree for potentially doing the same amount of work you would do on an independent research year as well. So applying to the dual degree program, you don't need to know that you want to do this before you come to medical school. I know there's an option on your application that you can check that you're interested, but by no means does that mean you're either obligated to do it or that you can't do it if you don't check that box. So if you're thinking about it, you actually have until your 3rd year of medical school to make that decision. And I'll be doing plenty of workshops and info sessions and communications with you to make sure that we're all on the same page, you know when you need to apply, and that everything is good to go. So I think you've probably heard enough from me. I'm going to turn it over to a few of our students. Anybody want to go first? All right, so we will have Gustavo from our MSCI, as well as Daniel, if you guys want to go at the same time, so you can talk about it.
Really talk about it?
Yeah, or introduce yourself and say maybe like why you wanted to go into an MSCI.
Okay. So hey guys, I'm Gustavo Hernandez.
I'm Danielle Golub.
We are now 4th year medical students, and we're doing the Master's in Science Clinical Investigation, which is the translational research. As Rebecca said, I didn't choose this at the beginning. I chose it towards the end of my 3rd year, and it has been what I consider one of the best decisions I've made. To be honest, I've gotten so much knowledge when it comes to research, when it comes to writing grants, how it works, and just in general, including statistics. And I think it's making me more ready for residency programs. I feel like research is not a challenge anymore. It's always a challenge, but it's just something that I know much better now. I don't know how you feel.
No, I agree. And I think it's great that they brought both Gustavo and I here today, because Gustavo and I do different types of research. Gustavo actually does more clinical research, where he researches patient data and tries to come up with conclusions that can then be clinically activated afterwards. While I do basic science research, and both are possible to do during the MSCI. I would say that the MSCI actually does cover coursework that covers both clinical investigation type things and translational research, which is really great for both of us. And then the benefit of that is that it sort of teaches us how to communicate with each other. So clinicians who have never been in the laboratory get to learn a little bit about what goes on in the laboratory, and people in the laboratory also get the benefit of that in the future. If they choose to pursue clinical research, they have that base. And we present to each other. We're actually in the same seminar class, and we practice doing oral presentations like we would at national conferences for each other and for a group of attending fellows. And it's a very mixed crowd in the group. It's only about 50% medical students in our class. We have lots of fellows and MDs, full attendings in our group as well. So I think it's a great learning experience that benefits research on all grounds.
I agree. And as Danielle was mentioning, there's so much opportunity to interact with people in a broad range of their training. You know, there's attendings, there's residents, there's medical students, as Danielle mentioned. And it's great to have their feedback. And you learn how to not only give a speech, but how to give like a good PowerPoint presentation, how to get prepared for posters. I think we've only done one semester so far. I'm already giving a presentation at the American College of Cardiology in March in New Orleans. And I feel, you know, I'm nervous, but at the same time, I know that I'm going to get prepared by the seminars that we have. And it's just been incredibly helpful, not only in research, just in generally just feeling more prepared for what comes after medical school.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about our research? Is that? Yeah.
Should we? Yeah. Okay. So I'm doing research on peripheral artery disease. I'm researching platelet activity on whether we can predict bleeding or thrombotic events in these patients. And one good thing about doing research in this way, and you dedicate a whole year to it, is that you become like a little bit of an expert in the area. Before we started, you know, we all knew what platelets were. I know what they do, but you know, the more I do this research, I think that the more I understand how intricate the whole idea of platelets is. And I think it's extremely helpful. It's something that I can talk about. And it's been really just an incredible experience in that sense. And I'm continuing doing the research now. We're gonna hopefully publish the paper in the next month. And then also doing some more basic science.
Yeah, my research focuses on, it's brain tumor research, and I research low-grade glioma. It's one of the subtypes of all the different types of glioma. You may have heard of glioblastoma or GBM, and there's other types of glioma. One is low-grade glioma, which is of great interest to us because we have very few therapies that target it. I'm doing a lot of drug development work in the lab, as well as genetics work to understand the oncogenesis, how these gliomas develop. And doing a lot of gene manipulation. And one of the great things, while I will say that a year is definitely not enough to become a total expert in basic science area, I will say that this one real devoted year to this research has definitely improved my understanding of methods and has allowed me to really have a project on my own in the lab, which you really can't do unless you're devoting at least a full year to it. Which has been very exciting for me. And I also presented at the Society for Neuro-Oncology conference last November, and I'll be going to the American Academy of Neurosurgeons conference this coming April. So yeah, the master's program allows you to have that time, and it gives you the foundations to be able to go and present your work in an appropriate and like mature and expert way.
And the guidance, really, I think after at least our third year, there's a point where you feel like nobody's holding your hand. You're just kind of doing your own thing and learning by your own. And then going back to the master's program where not that they're holding your hand, but you feel more, you know, you have all this backup. You have people really helping you every step of the way. In our case, at least in our seminar, every time we give a presentation, they will come down to every word that you say, like, oh, maybe you shouldn't say that word. Maybe you shouldn't say old people. Maybe you should say, you know, somebody elderly. You know, they really dissect everything. I think it's incredibly helpful.
And what's great about the instructors is that most of them, the vast majority of them, have been through the MSCI program themselves, yes, either as fellows or as attendings mostly. So they know exactly what's going on in the program, and they create a more casual atmosphere for us to really get constructive criticism on our work, which is a great benefit to everybody in the program.
It really is.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, guys.
now we're going to hand it over to Kate, who is a MPH student. And after Kate, I'm going to give some more clarification on guidelines and timelines as to when you'll actually go and do your dual degree.
Okay, hi guys. My name is Kate. I am currently a third-year student. I'm doing the 4-year MD MPH program. I actually knew that I wanted to do the program when I started medical school. I was a sociology major in college, and so most of my favorite classes really had to deal with sort of social determinants of health and kind of the intersection between health and sociology. I also had some experience with public health research, and so I really knew that I wanted to do the program. However, I still didn't apply until I got to medical school, so it's not really something that you need to worry about right now. And so I'm currently in my 3rd year, which means I've done one of my public health semesters, and my next one is coming up. And I've really enjoyed the program so far. You take some sort of standard classes, you know, epidemiology, biostats, that I think have really influenced how I will approach my medical decision making in terms of how to interpret tests and whether or not to even order a test in the first place. I've gotten to take some really interesting electives. So this past semester, I took a health and human rights course that was taught by 2 human rights lawyers. And, previously, I could say, I'm really interested in health and human rights as a concept, but I think I have a much stronger sort of foundation and how to actually use that framework to improve health and improve health outcomes. The NYU program is also, the MPH program is really flexible. So a lot of the public health courses are offered online, or they offer a variety of study abroad options, including study abroad during January or during spring break. And that's been really useful for me because, obviously as a dual degree student, you don't have quite as much flexibility in your schedule, but it still allowed me to take advantage of all of the opportunities that are out there. So for example, I applied for a study abroad program. And so this spring break, I'm going to be going to Beirut, Lebanon for a week and taking a course there with other NYU students, as well as UNICEF staff, and sort of working together to problem solve issues that are, afflicting that country. And so, again, I've really enjoyed the program. Feel free to reach out if it's something you're interested in, and ask questions here. I'm happy to answer.
Thank you. Hopefully I won't trip on my way. Okay. So you've gotten to hear from a few of our current students in programs. Thank you so much. I hope that was really helpful for you all. So we don't have a student from our MBA, bioethics, or MPA programs here, but if you are interested, please feel to reach out and I can get you in touch with students who are currently in those programs, or at least with faculty who can answer your questions. So a little more clarification on the timeline. So if you wanted to, so Kate is in our 4-year MPH program, which you don't necessarily recommend for everybody, but Kate's exceptional and is able to handle it. So if you receive approval from the Associate Dean of Student Affairs, then you'll be able to do it in 4 years, but we usually recommend the 5-year for most of our students. So that would mean in the middle of your 3rd year, you would apply directly to the school that you want to get your degree in. So if you want to get your MPH, you would apply directly to the College of Global Public Health within NYU. By their deadline and with their application. I'm here to help support you through the process, and you will need to meet with the Dean of Student Affairs to make sure that academically you're in line and ready to go. But otherwise, everything's kind of between you and the other institution to make sure your application's accepted and good. So you would go in your 4th year, instead of applying for residency and getting ready for that, you would go and complete your dual degree year. That would be a full year. You'll not necessarily be a School of Medicine student anymore. You'll be a student in one of the institutions that you have chosen to go to, and you will be fully implemented into the schedule there. Then after your full year, a lot of times you'll come back for a 5th year for your MD work, apply to residency, do any remaining sub-Is or anything else you have to do. And you might have to be finishing up some capstone work or a few weeks of research for the MSCI. And the only program that requires you to go back for a 3rd semester is if you want your MBA. So the way that works is you would go completely to Stern for your MBA degree in your 4th year, then you'd come back for your MD work in the beginning of your 5th year, and then you would go back for your final semester to finish your degree at Stern. So it's a little back and forth. If you have any further questions about that, or you want a graphic about it, I can definitely send you that as well. So I think we have a question.
All right. Why don't you guys come on back so we can, of course, I'll hang out in the back. Oh, and some people have always asked you about financial aid, how it pertains. So do you guys want to talk a little bit about that, and then I can give you my spiel?
Sure. So financial aid for the program you're applying to is given to you through that program. So if you want to go for your MPH, it would be through the College of Global Public Health. When you come back to medical school, you'll come back to if you had any financial aid in the first place, but the financial aid process is different for the school that you're going to. There's also the ability to apply for scholarships. Since it is within NYU, there's usually a pretty high opportunity for scholarships as well.
So, we have tuition-free scholarships for all of our MD students. That applies for the time while you're doing your MD degree. So if you're off, at Wagner or you're off at Stern, then you apply through the financial aid offices there for the time that you're studying there. But I think most people tend to continue living on NYU campus housing. So that's not an issue.
All right. So we have a question, which is, does the MD-MPH dual degree program have a global health focus?
Yes. So the College of Global Public Health has a variety of concentrations, but as a dual degree student, you will be doing the global health concentration. And I think part of the reason is that there's like a little bit more flexibility, which allows you to do the entire concentration in 2 semesters. You don't have to take as many courses sequentially, I guess. But that said, there is a lot of elective time. I think I'm taking 4 electives or so. And so this semester I discovered that I really liked epidemiology. And so next semester I'm doing an intermediate epidemiology course and a social epidemiology course. And so even though you'll be in the global health concentration, if there's something else that you really care about, you can do electives in that area, even if you're not necessarily in like the epidemiology concentration, for example.
All right. Don't see any other questions?
I guess just to clarify for us, our concentration requirement that's required of all the medical students is covered by our MSCI. So we still have to do 12 extra weeks of research like we had discussed during our 5th year of school, during our 4th year of medical school. But the concentration, we don't have to like apply for a new research project or a new concentration in any way. It continues as part of our MSCI.
A couple of things I've been asked is costs just in general, right? So MSCI, how much do we fund for MSCI in general?
7,000.
Right. So
So our office, the Office of Student Affairs, does provide a scholarship every year for all of our dual degree students. It's usually contingent on the number of students going into dual degree programs, because we do have a lump sum to divide between all of our dual degree students. And it's usually somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000 per student for your degree.
And does that apply to across all the degrees, like MD, MBA as well?
Yep. So for any dual degree that we offer through our office, we will provide budget-willing scholarships.
And how many students generally apply each year out of each class?
So generally we have, I'd say usually between 7 to 10 students will do the MBA, 2 to 5 students will do the MPH, 1 for the MPA and MBA, and then usually also between 5 and 10 for the MSCI. And that doesn't include students who are doing like research years or potentially going to another institution for a fellowship or something like that.
And I just want to circle back to something that Rebecca mentioned. It makes it seem very scary when they say, you know, you have to apply, then you leave the medical school, and then you're on your own in this other institution, and then you have to come back. It's very seamless. It's not that, okay, just come back in a year. You know, you stay here. I mean, we're here. They got in touch with us. You never really lose contact with your medical school, and I think that's very incredible. And in terms of the application, even though it's another institution, it's, as I said, it's very seamless. It took me 4 weeks from deciding to do this master's program to applying to it, and then I think another 3 weeks before getting in. It's just very helpful from both the medical school side and then from the master's side, whether it's the MBA. I've heard the same things from the MBA, from the MPH. I don't know if it was like that. It's just very, they have a lot of the cooperation between them, and I think it's very helpful.
We'll still answer your emails if you email us while you're on your dual degree year. We'll still take meetings with you.
And with regards to applying, you know, we used to offer the people the option of applying while they're applying to medical school. We found that almost nobody took us up on that. So we actually don't really have that process, although one person did do it last year. They applied, but you know, they were very proactive. They actually went to that partner school, and yeah, so that was awesome. Yeah, almost everyone applies while they're in medical school here. Acceptance rates from what I've gathered over the years are nearly 100%.
Yes, only in extenuating circumstances, usually the student knows there's the possibility that they may or may not be accepted, but we have like a 99.8% acceptance rate.
Yeah, I think the only time people have been accepted, maybe the MBA program, when we had a much larger class,
Yeah.
And they had a large percentage of people, and they had a certain number of slots. But you know, speaking to that program, they love NYU School of Medicine students. I know that firsthand.
Yeah, all of our cooperating programs love the perspective and energy that you guys bring to their classes. So keep doing that. I think we have a few other questions coming in. Do we have time?
Yeah.
All right, cool. How is it managing a dual degree program in general? Do you feel you have enough time to manage coursework and studying while maintaining extracurriculars or outside interests?
So, if I can start. So, The good thing about these programs is you're not overlapping the medical school with your master's or the MBA or anything that you're doing, which gives you opportunity to keep doing your extracurriculars, keep your hobbies, keep anything that you're doing. You're just completely stepping out of one school and going to another. And it's not added on to the medical school. You're just stepping to the side, and then it's the same, if not easier, to just have your extracurriculars and your outside activities.
And the one thing that's great about the MSCI for people who are very research focused, obviously will be going for the MSCI, is that they make all of our coursework on 1 day a week.
Yeah.
So all of our coursework for us is on Wednesdays. So it breaks up the week nicely for us. And we get to focus the rest of our time on our research, which is very important for basic science research and for clinical research to keep up with all those statistics every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for my program, most of the classes are held in the evenings, and that really helps other students that might be working or doing internships. And so it's a lot of evening classes, and they also have like some online options. And so I found in general, I have a lot more flexibility with my schedule. You know, coming off of clerkship year where, you know, you have like 12-hour blocks of time where you have to be at the hospital. You know, obviously you're still putting a lot of time into your coursework, but there's more flexibility with how you use it. I've still remained engaged in, you know, my extracurriculars, and I've been volunteering with a free clinic here, and so I've had that sort of connection back to the medical school as well. And so I found it very manageable.
So one other thing I'll say too about the MSCI that I just thought of that we should have said before is that the coursework that they give us, especially in the first semester, is very project oriented. So all of our coursework, all the summer coursework for the first summer semester right before the fall of the year off, is basically just writing a mini grant for the research project that you've assigned yourself for the entire year. Exactly, research proposals. And then for the fall semester, you're in these courses that sort of promote you to work on projects. There's one course on biomedical informatics, which is very interesting, that pairs you up with a computer science bioinformatics master's student, and you guys have to work on a project together. And a lot of people find ways to bring in their own research project to that bioinformatics project. And even if you don't, it's another way to get a manuscript out, for example.
We're actually working on a proposal for a bioinformatics degree right now. So hopefully by the time you're here, we'll have that option.
And we're also starting discussions on an MD-JD.
Interesting.
That's the one big one we don't, but we hopefully will have that.
All right. So it looks like we have 2 more questions. Can students pair the MD MSCI with a global health concentration?
I'm not sure the answer to that. What I do know is that once you do the MSCI, your requirements for concentration kind of go away. That doesn't mean that you can really try to get some elective time and then do whatever you want to do. But in terms of concentration, once you do your MSCI, you're not required to do one. Unless you want to, I think. Yeah.
Well, but what I will say is that you can, if you find a mentor in the global health area, you can make your whole project on a global health project for the MSCI. It's extremely, what kinds of projects you do, like ours are very diverse. They're extremely flexible. As long as you've identified a mentor and like have an idea of what your research will be, that will produce some sort of deliverable at the end of the time. It can be on anything. So if you have a global health oriented project, you can definitely make that your MSCI and spend all your free time doing that.
Definitely.
We also have an extremely robust global health program, and they do an international health program as well. So if you wanted to study abroad, a lot of students in their first and final years of medical school find time to study abroad and do a research project abroad. That's also an option for you if you're looking to see if that's really what you want to do. So you can do that in your first year and then decide if it sparks a further research project for you that you want to bring into your MSCI.
Yeah, just to bounce off of that, again, if you do a dual degree, you don't need a concentration, but there are lots of opportunities to get involved. So I did the international health program the summer after my first year. And so the med school helps fund that research experience. There's also away electives, and you can do like international electives as well. And then there's like a global health selective that you can do, that's just coursework here in New York. And so again, you don't have to do a concentration if you do a dual degree, but you can still get involved in a global health in other ways.
All right, looks like we have one final question. It looks like it's gonna be for Kate. You mentioned the 5-year MD MPH program. How would the 4-year work?
Yeah, so pretty much the MPH year looks about the same regardless of whether you do the 4 or the 5 years. So you have like the fall and spring semester where you're doing 18 credits, and then you have to do like an internship as well. So what changes is how the med school coursework kind of fits around that. So if you do the 5-year program, and it's the same for other dual degrees, you have your 1.5 years of preclinical, and then your entire 12 months of clerkship year. And then you still have 6 more months where you can study for and take step 1. Most people take about 6 weeks, but you have the flexibility to do more time if you need that. You can take vacation after, and then you still have time to do some electives before you even start your dual degree program. For the 4-year, it's a little bit tighter. So you have your 1.5 years of preclinical, and then you only do 8 out of your 12 months of clerkship year before starting your MPH. So when you come back, you still have to do a few more months of your clerkship year before you can even start taking electives. And so you also have to take step 1 at some point. And so that's what I'm studying for right now. And so I have my winter break to do that. I don't really have time to take a little bit longer to do a vacation after or anything like that. And so I think if you don't know what you want to do in terms of what you want to go into, or if what you want to go into is an elective, so not covered in your clerkship year, so maybe you want to go into dermatology or emergency medicine, it might be worth doing the 5-year program so that you have time to kind of take those electives earlier on. And also, if you wanted to do an away rotation, so if there's somewhere that you really want to go for residency and you want to do an away rotation there, you might want to do the 5-year program so that you have time to do those away rotations. For me, I'm planning to go into OBGYN. I'm not very particular about location for residency, and I kind of knew what I wanted to do before starting the program. And so even though I haven't taken any electives yet, I don't feel like that's kind of holding me back.
Awesome.
That's great.
Make sure we don't have any. Oh, all right. You're all very welcome. Any final thoughts? Anything else? Again, I think Carrie's going to follow up with contact information if you have any other questions. I know we are missing the representation from some of our programs. So again, please feel free to reach out. I can get you in contact with current students or faculty who can answer your questions.
All right. Well, thank you guys. And Carrie, when is our next?
We have February 13th about the free clinic.
All right, so February 13th,
Awesome.
Free Clinic Facebook Live, and we're gonna have a couple other student bios that we're gonna be putting forth online too. So thank you for joining us, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you guys, that was great.
Oh, sorry. So that's good to know. I for some reason I used to think that you guys would start right after clerkships.